Everyone, thank you guys so much for having me here tonight. And to speaking with all of you and to listen to your concerns at the Q&A. So just a little bit about me. I'm an immigrant. I came to the States when I was 9, not knowing a word of English. Without my community where we've made new friends and our neighbors helping us, I probably wouldn't have been here today. When I met my husband 12 years ago, we were talking about our future, looking at places where we want to put roots, and we decided on Logan Square because we wanted a place where our kids grow up in a culturally rich community, and we wanted a place where my kids understand that being bilingual and bicultural is completely normal. And I wanted our kids to grow up with families who are also immigrants, just like me. And when we first moved in, we had some issues with gang initiations and violence on our block. My neighbors, Roger and Jen, reached out to me, and we decided we need to know who is living on our block. How do we do that? We decided that we wanted a block yard sale where we went around collecting everybody's names and signatures to get the permit. And from that, we were able to learn who our neighbors are and getting them to, instead of hanging out in their backyard, come hang out in the front yard. From there on, we decided that yard sale was too much work. We started having block parties, and now we have 3 a year. Our last one is on Halloween, and you are all invited to 2600 block of Drake. And this is how I believe in building community, by learning to know who your neighbors are, by building trust between neighbors. This is how community is really built. And this is why I'm running for alderman, because I think communities flourish when we have an alderman or elected official who believes in doing the work and supporting what it is that is our community. And sorry, I'm a little nervous because I usually don't speak to this large of a crowd. I love small coffee one-on-one talks. And I believe in having accessible constituent services that is working family friendly. That means hosting hours that is past 5 o'clock, because most of us can't get to an alderman's office between 9 and 5. I believe in being present and helping everyone who lives here. So that means being able to make a simple call to city services when there's a work ticket, that you are just simply following up to make sure that our streets, our potholes are getting filled, our rats are being abated, or street lights is fixed. Sometimes it just takes a simple call from the office to track that work ticket number. And I believe in our neighborhood public schools. That's my heart. My kids go to a school in our neighborhood, and I'm part of the local school council at Monroe. And I believe in supporting that because when our public schools are anchors of our community, that is when we start to see communities come together. And lastly, I believe in supporting our local small businesses, because when we have a thriving local economy, we are having people that are staying, who are shopping local, who are giving back locally. And most importantly, I believe in doing that through equity lens. And that means that we are looking at growing community through the inputs of people, whether they've been here for 3 months, 3 years, or 3 generations, because we want everyone to feel that they belong. So I've been knocking on doors since August to collect signatures for my petition. And one of the most common sentiments I've been hearing is that people are not feeling like their voices are being heard. Mainly because most of us do not have time to organize, to get petitions, to go to the alderman's office to get our street repaved or our alley fixed or something, to be changed. I think it's important that we understand that we need to reach out to constituents. We need to look at best practices that's happening all around city at various aldermen's office in not making the constituents doing all the work, but us putting forward and doing the work ourselves. And that is not equitable, because most people, as we know, who are working class, who may not have English as their first language, do not know what it is that aldermen do, and hence have 30 years of streets not being paved. And I believe in advocating for schools and the social services that actually currently exist in our schools. For example, in Avondale, Avondale School, the Lucha is present in helping families who need financial assistance or maybe facing displacements to get through that. And that is not just open to the students at that school, it's actually open to our community. And at Monroe, we actually have somebody from, I think, Department of Public Health, who's helping families getting Medicare, Medicaid services for their kids. And again, it's not just something that is accessible to just students at that school, but it's accessible to everyone in the community. And I think when you're in an elected official position, you need to advocate for that, to make sure the community knows that it exists, and to actually build more partnerships so that we're able to help everyone and who are facing various problems or who wants to stay here. And also before and after school programs. I believe in community school models, which means we're not only supporting supporting students during school hours, but we're also supporting their families, truly building a community around schools and a community beyond schools. And I also want to support small businesses owners. I'm a small business owner. I believe that being an alderman, you need to support small businesses who want to invest in our community. That means being accessible, so that constituent small business owners don't need to wait 2 months for a simple alley permit to get their lease through. It means that we need community input on what type of business we want in our community, so that we're able to advocate for that and attract the right type of business owners to come in and invest in our neighborhood. Or actually, like one of my favorite restaurant owners, she actually lives in the community and wanted to invest and figured out how to do that. And we need to look at the big picture of how we want our community to sustainably grow. So that we're still being culturally aware, because one of the things I love about this neighborhood is the street vendors. It reminds me so much of Taiwan and Taipei. I mean, that was when I told my husband that's why I want to move here. He was just like, over street vendors? Like, yeah, it's the culture, and that's what is very sentimental to me. And I also believe we need to do better cleaning up of public spaces, so that people want to walk on our streets and also, gather at our public spaces. Legislatively, I believe in building relationships with various city services and with other aldermen. As one of 50 votes in city council, to make progress on issues that matter means we need to be willing and do the work to build support around that issue to pass that legislation. I believe that as an alderman whose ward borders so many other wards, where ward lines are invisible, but neighborhood pride is very visible, we need to make sure that we're working with other aldermen who also are part of that ward together to make sure that the vision of our neighborhood is truly being fulfilled.
Do you have a lot more, Amanda?
Almost done. And these are just some of my ideas, and I'd be happy to answer more at Q&A, or just reach out to me for coffee, because I'm definitely better at one-on-one, and I love that. And just know that, like, one of my core values is I always believe that we're stronger together when we advocate for equity and when we represent our community together.
Thanks.
Is there any questions? Anybody have any questions?
What would you bring to the ward that Alderman Rosa does not?
Currently, what I will be bringing is being present in the ward. So that means making sure that everybody is being heard.
You don't think that's happening now?
No. Especially when I'm walking at the borders, there's apparently a lot of confusion on which ward they belong to because they've had to call other offices because Alderman Rosa's office have not responded and told them that they actually, they're either in Alderman Mel's ward or somebody else's ward. And I think that's really important, is even if it's just a neighbor, when one of the things I realize is a lot of times the right side, I don't know my west and east, so right side of the street is one ward, left side of the street is another ward. There's confusion, and sometimes I think it's easier to just help the street and not figure out, okay, well, you're on the other side of the street, call somebody else. Because that's working together means not looking into little details like that.
Go ahead.
Good job, Amanda. Thank you for being
Thank you.
here. So, kind of to that point, if you win, you will have to work with, Alderman Mel or others. You were so kind to come to my building, 3035 West Belmont, and kind of speak to a big issue for our building, which is the homeless population right before export. So can you maybe share your perspective a little bit more on your approach to partnering with a co-alderman?
Yeah, I believe in reaching out and just figuring out a solution, whether we together clean up, like wash out the underpass, and then getting city services to come in to help with those experiencing homelessness. It's a process, but it's about making sure we have a common goal, and when we don't, I believe in, making sure that our constituents are taken care of.
One last question.
So, being an alderman, you have a great deal of focus on the local neighborhood, and I get that, that's the job. But with that said, you also roll up to the city. Are there any citywide reforms or citywide changes you'd like to see made, or that would be part of your campaign pledge to actually accomplish during your tenure as alderman?
Well, one of the things that I think is really important in terms of looking into, this is an issue that's affecting all community in our neighborhoods, which is affordable housing stock. And while, yes, having affordable housing that is a rental, I really believe in looking in other entry points into the community, where, as most know, cycles of poverty happens. It happens because we're not helping the population build equity. So one of the things I would be looking into is negotiating into making sure that we're able to help families buy into the neighborhood, either through co-ops or possibly families who are having issues with staying in the community, looking into possibly building at the alleyway, so like coach houses, allowing that to happen. I think that's important. I think in the greening of our alleys, right now some of the photographies that's been happening about, our alley streets, it's literally a second streetway in our city that is left behind, but, imagine what we can do with it. And also in helping the families who want to stay to be able to support that. It's something we should look into. I believe in looking at multiple solutions and doing test trials.
All right, well, thanks, Amanda.
Tempt the Polish last name that I married into, thank you. Shavetsky.